Welcome to the Retirement Outsiders Podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and I'm joined by my wife and co-host, Tony. The focus of this podcast is to discuss various retirement topics from an outsider's point of view. In terms of this podcast, an outsider is someone who is not retired, someone who is not a financial advisor, someone who is not a CPA, lawyer, or healthcare advisor. I'm an engineer, and Tony is a teacher. We've been preparing for retirement for several years. We've encountered many different opportunities and obstacles throughout our careers and our paths to retirement. Early on, so much of it was intimidating. Our intent is to make some sense out of all the financial, accounting, estate planning, and healthcare jargon from an outsider's perspective. In addition, we will discuss some of the behavioral aspects that come with not being tied down to a 9-to-5 job. Welcome to the Retirement Outsiders Podcast. Welcome to the show. We got a fun one today. We got a retirement round robin. Whatever that means, right? Round robin. Yeah. We're gonna do a financial topic, then we're gonna go on to a lifestyle topic, and back and forth, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. These are some key, very simple retirement topics that you can start early. Heck, you can start a lot of these in your 20s, or you should start a lot of these in your 20s. And of course, you can continue them and refine them all the way up to and into retirement.
That's the plan.
That is the plan. So let's start. Let's start it real simple. Let's start by number one, financial topic, eliminating debt. So pay off those high interest credit cards. Those are horrible. Those are killing you.
That should be first priority. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's number one. Pay off your mortgage. Yeah. Get your mortgage close to paid off. You know, one of the things you can do with mortgages, a lot of them anyways, you can pay. Obviously, you can pay a little bit more every month, but you can also pay, especially if you get paid every other week or twice a month, you can pay a little bit in the middle of the month, and that even eats away at more of your interest as long as your bank counts that. So you might call your bank and ask them about that. If you can pay a little bit even in the middle of the month, that really can help. All right, lifestyle topic number one.
Well, retire to something, develop some hobbies, get something that you want to do. And it might be something that you're not 100% sure you're sold on, but it's something that you've always wanted to try, or you know some people that are involved in it, or maybe you just have never gotten around to developing an exercise plan and you really want to make that a top priority of retirement.
Well, you just started playing piano here a month or so ago.
Yes. And enjoying it, not spending enormous amounts of time on it, but making sure that I'm keeping up on what I already know and maybe practicing the stuff that I'm doing and thinking about how I'm going to go forward with that, maybe hire a teacher down the line. There's just a bunch of stuff that I'm kind of excited about with that. And then there's other things. I want to learn how to crochet. I'm not sure that I'm going to continue that. I want to get involved in volunteering and maybe doing that with a group of other women.
Well, finding cheap and fun hobbies to even try, even if you only do it once or 10 times or whatever, you know, sometimes just trying it and having that experience and deciding it's not really for you is a bit rewarding, because you're not sitting there thinking, I should have always done that. I should have tried that. I should have tried it. So,
yes.
Okay. Financial topic number two, build a cash cushion. So it's nice to have a nice chunk of cash that's either just in your bank account making nice interest, or in a money market account, something that you can access quickly in case of an emergency. Also, it keeps it out of the stock market. It keeps your portfolio slightly less volatile, and that can be a good thing, especially when you're on a retirement budget. So start building that cash cushion and enjoy.
You know what? I just realized I really like the term cash cushion. I like that way better than liquid asset. Liquid asset has always kind of grossed me out.
Well,
cash cushion, nice.
If cash cushion does it for you and makes you save some cash, then
nice little
a cash
pillow.
Cushion.
It's my little pillow I can land in if there's an emergency.
There you go. Lifestyle topic number two.
Establish routines. The idea that you're just going to relax, and I know I've mentioned this before, I'm going to mention it many more times, if when people say, what are you going to do when you retire? Oh, only a few months till you retire. What are you going to do? And your response is, I'm just going to take every day as it comes. I'm just going to live my life. No, you need a routine. A routine will keep you mentally acute. You will be doing the same things, maybe not every day.
Even trying to build a routine, like on paper. What would you do every day? What are some things you would do every day? What are some things you want to do once a week? What are some things you want to do, 2 to 3 times a week? Try to create somewhat of a routine and ask yourself, can I fill like 10% of my time, 50% of what percent of my time can I fill with things I want to do,
keep up with, that
are, you do on some kind of a basis, right? So, and see what that looks like. That could be an eye opener, like, wow, I really don't have anything to do, or I've got a ton of stuff to do. I got so much stuff to do. I have to start limiting how many times a week I do this activity or that activity. So see where you're at.
Right. There's doers, and then there's people like me who have to make a list and follow the list in order to stay motivated. So like one of the things I did last summer was I had the goal of emptying out a closet. I have one closet in my house that is completely empty.
Good for you.
It fills me with joy.
Yeah. Okay. Financial topic number 3, plan for inflation and taxes. So inflation, there's not a ton you can do about what inflation is going to end up being, but one of the things you can do to fight against inflation is to have money invested in the stock market. That's the number one inflation killer. If you're putting all of your cash into savings, I talked about having a cash cushion, but if you're putting all of it in there, if you're putting 70, 80, 90% of your money in your bank account or in a money market account or CDs, something that's ultra stable, that's also very risky when it comes to planning against inflation, because a lot of times that inflation number is right at or even above the interest you're going to get from a very stable type of bank account interest rate. So taxes, not a lot you can do about being taxed, but what you can do is you can have multiple streams of income, some that are tax-free, some that are a lot less taxed versus ones that haven't been taxed yet, and Uncle Sam's going to come calling for his money. So make sure you work with a financial advisor, or you do your own research and figure out how to best plan to limit your taxes heading into retirement. Okay, lifestyle topic number 3.
Reassess your housing. This one's really important, especially for those of you who are living in a home that maybe you raised your children. Maybe you have a really strong emotional attachment to your home, but maybe it's older and it needs a lot of work. Something that you might want to consider is, do you want to maintain, or do you want to fix those things while you've got a steady income? Those are all just list things that you should be thinking about. Do you want a big house? Do you want a bigger house? Do you want a new house? Do you want a second house? Do you want to get rid of your house and move everything into an RV? So do you need to start shopping storage or things like that? These are, to me, really fun topics to think about. Like, could I move into a home that only has 2 bathrooms, that only has 2 bedrooms? Would that work for Steve's and my lifestyle? If we decide we're going to move to like a beach area where we're not going to be able to afford as much of a house or something like that.
Well, what are some of those factors? Because I think I've heard a lot of people say things like, they want to keep the large house so that family can come visit, or that they can host the Thanksgiving dinner and they've got plenty of room for family. That's one thing I've heard.
Right.
One excuse, if you will, to keep the larger house. There's other factors too. What are you going to do in your house versus what's going to be available to you? In particular, if you move somewhere, one of the things we enjoy is we got a pretty large exercise room. But can you give that up if you're moving to an area where there's free or cheap facilities right around you?
Right.
So factors like that can come into play.
Right. And I have a person that I've worked with who is getting ready for retirement. And so a couple of years ago, she got rid of her older home in the downtown area of where we live that she loves. She loves the neighborhood. She loves that she could walk places, but she really wanted a newer home that she didn't have to keep up with because there was always something wrong. And so she went ahead and bought a condominium, and she hates it.
Really?
And it was more expensive than her house. So she basically broke even when she split with that. And now she's kind of stuck with it and trying to decide if she really wants to head her, mid-60s self into an older home that's probably going to need a lot of upkeep and go back to the home. Yeah. So,
well, at least she's still working.
Yeah, she is.
It's best to learn a lesson like that when you're still working, at least.
But I've thought about her. She tried to be practical and realized later that really wasn't her.
Yeah. Okay. Financial topic number 4, review your Social Security. If you're married, are you going to both take Social Security as early as you can? Are you going to both wait till the last minute? Are you going to one person take early, other person take late? Review that plan. Review what that means for you and how it affects your tax strategy, how it affects your budget, how it affects that bottom dollar budget in case the economy goes south and you need to pull back on your spending. How are you going to ensure that you have that minimum amount of income? So review that Social Security. Review it several years and continually as you approach retirement. Okay, lifestyle topic number 4.
Plan your social connections. And there's a couple of areas that I think we need to talk about here. But the main thing is you should be actively fostering friendships or acquaintances. If you're involved in church or you're involved in any kind of social group or social club like the VFW or something along those lines, you've kind of got a built-in program for that, even if you don't take advantage of it today. But for some people, Steve and myself included, we hang out mostly with family. And if we move away, that family connection is going to become much more distant. So we're going to need to actively do this. This is going to be something we need to do. And I think this is particularly important for those of you who listen to this and who are single, because once you lose your work group, especially if you're someone that socializes with that work group, they're going to, they're all different age groups in that. So there should be set plans for how you're going to maintain those relationships if that's part of the plan.
Yeah, maintaining old relationships, creating new ones, both are very important, right?
And isolation is not healthy. It really is not. So if you've gotten into this social media craze, which cracks me up, the social media craze on I'm just a loner and I only like to be around by myself in my bed. Yeah. That's a funny thing. And I know I like to do that. I like to be by myself, but it's because I'm so often not by myself. It's not something I've had to do for years.
Yeah. Well, and I think about the one big social event that I partake in every year and have for over 2 decades is the annual guys golf trip up to Michigan. And I look forward to that for darn near the whole year.
Yeah.
You do.
If
nothing else, that tells me I need to do things like that more often so that it's not as big of a treat.
Right. Because Steve has buddies call him and want to golf during golfing season.
Yeah,
but he generally does not organize it himself. I can't go during the week, period. Right.
And then, trying to.
He's got retired friends that are golfing during the day on a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky dudes.
And then on the weekends, I've got lawns to mow. I've got things to do around the house. So it's like my time is very precious and it's difficult. I still get out, but not as much as I would like to.
Right.
Okay, that was the retirement round robin. What did you think?
Oh, I think it was good to touch base with. Yeah, I think it is fun to do this. And I think it's something that it's just kind of a nice refresher, especially if somebody's listening to the podcast and they haven't listened to the other episodes because maybe they weren't interested in a particular topic, but maybe we covered something in this kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it's
a rapid fire way to do it. So
good reminders.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the round robin. And until next time. Thank you for joining us today on the Retirement Outsiders Podcast. Please remember to rate, like, and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. Thanks again, and we hope you'll join us next time on the Retirement Outsiders.